Hello everybody! Today I want to show you my new hover car system and how easy it is to implement it in your own project. So if you download it from the marketplace, it will come as a full project. You will find yourself in this beautiful example map, and you basically can hit play and just enjoy the hover physics for yourself. So the movement is really physics driven, and if you migrate the assets to your own project, make sure to export the key mappings and import them into your new project. You can type it all in by hand. It's better to use the export option. The system is really built to modify it your way. So I will delete this car. If you go to the blueprints folder, you will find blueprint hover car and hover component. The hover car is the main hovering car. You can drag it into the scene, select possess player 0, which is our default player, and you basically have all the physics movement in this blueprint. The car from before is the hover car effects. It's basically a whole different class. You shouldn't use it. It's just for the demo. So the hover car is really the base class and has much more functionality. Let's say you want to use your own meshes. You can just simply click on the hover car, and in the details panel you can select the car mesh. So let's say we want, for example, this big ambulance car. We can hit play and we have it all set up. We can tweak, however, some options. Under movement, you can set the acceleration, so basically the top speed of the car, and the force in all directions. Since it's physics driven, you can set the, let's say, roll force. And now if we roll the car, you can see it really affects the car. There are some important values under hover. The movement roughness is basically the roughness of the movement. So if we set it very high and we go over this rough terrain, you can see the car is really moving rough. On the other side, if we set it maybe to like something like 2, you notice the car is really gliding smoothly over the terrain. For performance optimizations, you can set the tick interval to a higher value. It will affect the physics update of the car. So if we set it to this means it's updating 15 times. You can see it's really very unstable. So I wouldn't recommend changing this value unless you have like 100 cars flying around. Then you might run into performance issues. The main hover distance is the distance the car hovers from the ground. You can preview it by pressing 1 or 2 on the keyboard. Now if the hover distance is too low, the car might get stuck at every wall. If it's too high, the car might behave very funny. However, make sure you find a good balance. And the dampening and spring forces basically are there to balance the hovering. So you can play around with those values. Let's set it to like 200 and see what happens. Depending on your mesh, you can set the hover bounce multiplier, maybe like something to a 0.808. So now the hover components are a little moved inside, right? So normally they use the bounding box. The bounding box is if you select the mesh, click bounds, basically the box that fits the whole mesh. So depending on your mesh, maybe you might have some sort of wing or something. The bounding box is really big, so yeah, you can adjust the hover component position with this value. You can use skeletal meshes too. I have one robot here. It's from the infiltrator demo, I think. So one thing you notice, if I use this skeletal mesh, the direction of the skeletal mesh is wrong. That depends on the skeleton, and I don't know why, but this mesh doesn't face the X direction, so we can just use the skeletal rotation offset, and yeah, now we are done. We can use an animation blueprint or an asset, which we will choose here, and we select the animation to play, and okay, we can just hit play, and we have our robot fully working and hovering. One important thing to say here is that the car mesh is also the physics mesh. So if we show the collision now, this is the collision mesh of our hover car. So if we reset it to this small hover car, you see our whole robot just has this tiny collision mesh. And so yeah, make sure under car mesh you choose the right mesh for the collision. I have already set up this roboto mesh, which should fit quite perfectly. So okay, and if we hit play now, yeah, we collide with the environment, and it's all really great. Yeah, first I will add another nice vehicle with this nice fancy effects, and okay, so in our blueprints AI controller folder there is this blueprint AI track, and if we drag it out into the world, it's basically a very easy blueprint with this spline component. So we can select this little spline point here and drag it out. If you want other spline points, you can just press Alt and drag again. So it's a closed loop spline, and we can basically just drag around those points and create a spline track for our AI to follow. And now our cars need to know which path they should follow. So first we will select both actors and select the IA controller class and make it to blueprint hover simple AI. So now we can select the car, the effects car, and under AI navigation we can choose our track. And this already works, but we will set the top speed of the car a little lower, so let's say 2000 maybe. We do the same thing for our robot. Maximum acceleration 2000, and we choose the AI track. Okay, I will just position the vehicles a little further apart, and if I hit play now, I can press H to preview the spline track, and I hit enter, and now the race begins. So the vehicles are just following this spline loop forever, and they try their best to maintain the distance to the spline. Oh, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any questions, just ask in the comment section. Thank you and have a nice year. Bye bye.